So somebody asked me, is Java for web dead in 2019? Let's see if we can find the Java grave. There are certainly a lot of graves around here. I'm not entirely convinced we're going to find javaweb. You got to remember, Java is still one of the most popular programming languages in the world today. That being said, Java is a verbose language. By the time you finish writing an app in Java, you might be in one of these gravestones. It takes a long time compared to lighter, nimbler languages like PHP, JavaScript, Node, Python, even Ruby. So is Java for web development dead? Short answer is no, but I'm going to put a little star here, a little asterisk. Why do I say that? Because, well, let's rattle off a few bullet points so you have a context. Number one, Java is the most popular programming in the world, or it's definitely in the top 3 all the time. This video is sponsored by Buddy, a tool that allows for easy continuous deployments and continuous integrations. It's in a GUI, very intuitive. They have over 100 predefined actions and integrations to use. Java is largely used for very large enterprise development. Enterprise means huge companies, big organizations. Number 3, and this is just an opinion of mine, number 3, I doubt very many small startup businesses are going to be using Java for web development simply because it's too slow to develop in. When it comes to runtime, when it comes to Java apps actually running, Java is extremely fast. But when it comes to actually writing Java code to get stuff done, it is slow. It's a very verbose, long-winded language, means you have to write a lot of code to get anything done. And the configuration and setup of Java-based web architecture, Spring being the most popular, the Spring architecture. I'll put a link. I won't put a link here, but this is Spring. And it's just a beast. You can think of Java as a giant 18-wheel vehicle, and you have all kinds of capabilities and power and flexibility. Java can do so much, not just web development. But the cost of that is you got this huge truck that's really difficult to maneuver and to drive. It takes time to get things going. The classic example I like to use is when I first discovered creepy crawly PHP, which isn't creepy crawly anymore. When I first discovered PHP, I was a big time Java developer. Java was my favorite language for several years. And a client of mine basically forced me to write PHP because they had already written part of their application in PHP. So I was forced to write in it. And I remember looking at PHP, and at that time, this was 8,000 years ago, so things have changed quite a bit with PHP. At that time, PHP was very primitive relative to Java in terms of its capabilities, but it was light and nimble. I remember looking at some PHP code where to send an email in PHP, complete with error trapping and all kinds of capabilities, it was one line of code in PHP. Now at the time in Java, to do with Java servlets, it was like a page of code. And I soon realized that you could get out a functional web application in PHP with maybe 5%, maybe 10% of the code that you would need to write to do it in Java. Now, when it comes to maintaining an application, when it comes to cost of development of an application, when it comes to so many factors that business people pay attention to, the fact that you could get it all done in PHP with 5 or 10% of the code is very compelling, very compelling. So is Java dead in 2019 when it comes to web app development? No, but you're going to be working on projects that are extensions of or updates to existing web apps written in Java at large organizations. I would be very surprised that you would see any new development in the web space with Java with newer companies or smaller companies where most of the jobs are at, by the way, simply because you have solutions like PHP and Python and Ruby and JavaScript Node, which are far easier to ramp up with, far easier to train people with, takes much less code to get stuff done. Yes, Java in the web space has certain advantages, but most of these advantages are lost with the vast majority of web apps that are required out there. So if you're learning Java, are you wasting your time? Not at all, because the principles and the techniques and the learning that you get from Java is going to have a huge impact in terms of every other type of code that you ever will write. I think Java is slowly fading into legacy. It's no longer the hot new language, been around for 20 years. That does not mean it's going to disappear. Java will be around long after you retire. Look at C and C++, which are much older languages. They're still around. They're still amongst the top 3, top 5 most important programming languages today. Even in the Android development space, which was originally you wrote all your Android native apps with Java, these days, Android development is moving towards Kotlin, which is a lighter, nimbler language that works perfectly with Java, but it just takes a lot less code. It's a lot easier to build your native Android apps with Kotlin. Now, that's not just my opinion. Google has now said a couple months ago that they're going to support Kotlin first, Java second. That tells you where it's going. Just to close off this video, our sponsor, Buddy, is a CI/CD automation tool. It's very intuitive, simple to use. You can set up everything with a GUI. They have over 100 predefined actions, integrations to use. I welcome tools like Buddy because though DevOps is essential today, it can get a little bit too complex and silly to set up and run, slowing down the development process. Tools like Buddy can help solve that problem.